So I just want to give you a real quick update on this door. It is finally complete, so I can check this one off the list. Hey, things are going slow here, but when you work a full-time job and you're trying to kind of renovate your house on the side and on the weekends, it's going to take time, you know, and we live here, so bear with me, but these are little victories that I just relish in. So I've got my door hardware on. Now I went to a salvage yard to try to find this and I could not find it. I could not find a set that was actually functioning. So what I had to do was obviously go to the internet, and I was able to find a company that makes these. They're reproduction, so this is not an original antique, but it's exactly like the antiques. It's solid brass, it's a mortise lock set. It even has the little skeleton key. Now these aren't much in the way of security. You could just buy one of these at a salvage yard, or you could just easily pick this lock. So I'm gonna have another latch that is on the inside that will be able to secure this for more secure purposes. But everything closes up nicely. I love the look of this old style stuff. We went with the brass, like I said. I made it aged like I did in the last couple videos back with my hinges and my screws. That was a really fun process. Did the same thing to this, went with the porcelain knob. I think it's just a real classic look, and I know this yellow trim is just killing some of you guys. But I have to say, honestly, I like it, and I'm the one that's gonna have to stare at it every day. So as far as I can see, it's staying. My wife approved of it. So guys, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's not for everyone. And I said that when we first bought this house. There's going to be some stuff here that I do that's a little out there, a little eclectic, a little funky. But honestly, whenever it comes time to actually do the interior of my house, I have a pretty good plan for it. I think I'm going to just keep it classic. I'm going to take some chances and do some cool stuff, but I'm not going to do anything like this on the inside, because you know, this is kind of my fun playground out here where I can actually do this stuff and it doesn't really matter. So, but in other news, guys, we've got our Domino 700 here, and you know that if you saw the last video, I became a Festool owner the other day, and I'm gonna unbox this thing. I'm really excited, but one thing I'm still on the fence about is if I trust this thing to do the work, to perform the task, to hold up doors together, to hold solid wood doors together. Now my floating tenons, which this is a piece of walnut floating tenon that I put that door together with, I have no reserves about that. I believe this is strong enough to hold that thing together for a long time, for decades. I really believe that. I don't know, after looking at some of these dominoes, if these things are actually strong enough. I mean, these are the longest ones they gave me, and that's how wide they are. You know, people say they build doors with these, but really, are these going to hold together my white oak doors? I'm going to form an opinion on that today. And if I don't think this thing is capable of doing what I want it to do, then I have no shame in returning it and getting my money back. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not sponsored by Festool. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I've gotten pretty close to DeWaukee a little bit. Not really sponsored, but they've come over to the shop. They're actually coming today. They came last time. I kid you not, you cannot make this stuff up. So I didn't have my hardware on, and this guy right here, Chief, come here. This guy, he comes out. Okay, well, you gotta understand, we have 5 kids that run around this house. He comes out with underwear in his mouth, children's underwear, and he just pushes through that door, no hardware on it, comes up to the DeWaukee guy, like the main guy who's in charge, and just like starts handing it to him. You did that, right? You remember that? And I was so embarrassed. I was just glad you didn't bring my DeWaukee underwear out. I'm not one for dramatic unboxing, so let's just get into this. I'm going to show you what's in here. Inside of this one is the kit, the starter kit. Basically, we've got our 2 extra bits, different sized bits, and then we've got different assortment of dominoes that you would need to change out your bit to accomplish different sizes. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Comes with some labels, so you can label these little trays right here, which I probably actually will use because millimeters is something that's totally new to me. I first started learning about millimeters when I learned about my combination machine here, which I'm using as a work table, which by the way is unplugged. Anytime I use this as a work table, I unplug it because it's freaking dangerous. So there's the unboxing for that. That one's self-explanatory, and this one is too. This is the Domino 700 itself. The tool itself comes with this bit, which is the one I'll probably start with, the 12 millimeter. And then the tool itself, I've taken this out one other time to inspect it because I bought the display model and I wanted to see if I could get a discount. I couldn't because they said Festool doesn't do any discount on their prices, which I don't know if that's true. If the woodworking store is just telling me that, But anyways, this was the display. So this is really, right now, this is my first time to really hold it and get a feel for it. And I will say it's got some heft to it. Definitely a two-hand operation tool, that's pretty obvious, but just one-handed, this sucker is heavy. So you definitely need that other hand to balance out and then plunge into your wood, which by the way, I'm gonna try out this piece right here. This is a piece of white oak. So I'm gonna practice on this because that's what I've got this for, is to make my doors. So we're gonna see how it does with white oak. White oak is extremely hard, very tight grain. So I wanna see how this thing holds up. And then I also wanna build like shutters and other stuff with this, with softer woods, which I think it could definitely do. So there's the tool itself. My first impression is that it feels quality. It feels like it's got some weight to it, like it can get the job done. And another thing that comes to mind anytime you talk about Festool is the price, right? People are always talking about how they're overpriced, expensive tools, and I get where you're coming from. You can buy, you know, miter saws that are cheaper than the Capex. You find other alternatives, but when it comes to the Domino, you have no other alternatives. So DeWaukee, Milwaukee, Makita, all you other brands out there, get yourself a good patent lawyer and get after this thing, because come on guys, look what you made me do. But seriously, that is true. They're the only ones who make a loose tenon jig like this that's as repeatable, that's a tool that actually its only purpose is to make loose tenons.
Wow.
That feels pretty quality. The operation of it feels really good. I think we've got this thing set up for the most part. It took a little while to convert from millimeters to inches and the other way around, because here in the United States we like to do things different for some reason. But nevertheless, I think we're good now. I think we're gonna find out. I'm gonna try this first in this really soft Spanish cedar. These are offcuts from the door that we just built. And then I'm gonna try it in the white oak. So this is gonna let me get familiar with the operation of it, and then I wanna see what it can really do in a hardwood. And one thing people really stressed to me in the last video was you have to have dust extraction. So this little fitting right here, luckily, it looks like this thing is gonna be perfect for it. Look at that. That is lucky, because that is such a random fitting, and I had to get this one because there's like a really random fitting on this miter saw too. So, hey, sometimes you get lucky. All right, let's give this a shot. Oh, I did it the wrong one. I think I need to go to a smaller bit. I don't know millimeters. This is way too loose. Talk about loose tenons. All right, I don't know how many millimeters this is. Well, apparently somewhere along the way, my conversion from America to the rest of the world was off. Either that or they gave me the wrong kit for this. No, this is the right kit. So we're gonna have to switch this out. I don't have any dominoes that are that big, but that makes me think this is actually gonna work for what I want it to, because that's a pretty wide hole. If I can get a couple of those, even 3 of them, on an individual style going into a rail, I would definitely think that would be enough to do what I want it to do. The problem is, when I saw this, I thought they gave me like different sizes, but these are all the same width, they're just different lengths. That's not cool. I want like different, like these are all way too small. How do you give someone an assortment kit and not give them different assortment of sizes? So that's pretty upsetting. So what does that mean? I'm gonna have to buy bigger dominoes. So I'm gonna switch bits just so I can at least cut my first one. That's a nice tight fit. No dust anywhere. That's pretty crazy. right, so my first time experimenting with this stuff, I need to go a little bit deeper. Again, my metric to inch conversion is pretty off on this. So, but as far as that lining up, that lines up really good. The thing that's most impressive about this is how quick you can just make these joints. I mean, that was like no time at all. And then if I can get those wider tenons, I think we're gonna be in business. Nice.
Hey.
That'll work.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I'm impressed with this thing, I really am. That's just how quick you can do that. And if you had a couple of these, maybe even 3 of them per style and rail on each door, and if I had them with that 12 millimeter like I originally intended, but I don't have any 12 millimeter dominoes, man, I think that'll hold together my doors.
But since we're doing white oak, I want
Oh,
to
yeah.
on the white oak because that's soft wood.
Yeah, this was extremely easy being a softwood. So she's right. Let's do a white oak, which I have right here. And I'm going to elevate it off the table using these scraps. All right, that was, I mean, it handled it. It definitely handled it good. It was just awkward for me doing it in that weird position. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it from this angle now, like this, and just plunge into it like a normal person. So we'll see if this is any better. All right, check this out. So there's the one I just did, and it handled it like nothing, like butter. Now I did go a lot slower than the Spanish cedar, obviously, this being a much harder wood, but just taking that slower plunge, like a dream, like an absolute dream. So I see why people like to use these things. That's so quick, so efficient, and look, like just like that, look, you have a floating tenon. Tight one too. That's awesome. It's so cool. So we're gonna do our final test cut. We're gonna do in grain, which is a lot harder to go through than the edge grain. And I imagine I have to take it a little bit slower. But when doors are constructed, you're gonna need in grain to edge grain joints right there. So I could fit 2 right there, 2 right there, probably 3 on the bottom rail, and I could just, this is not only going to be quick and efficient, this is going to be so fun. Like absolutely nothing. And that is a pretty rift piece of white oak too. Like that's some tight grain right there. And that was, it just handled it like nothing. Like absolutely nothing. About as easy as it was on the edge grain. I don't see any dust in the work area, which is very important because when you're gluing those mortises together with those floating tenons, you don't want to be just gluing dust. Like you got to get that dust out of there. This does that. So overall, guys, first impression of this thing, I absolutely love it. Happy with my investment, my first ever Festool tool. I think it's going to do exactly what I want it to do. So it'll be a little while before I'm building these white oak doors. We just got a couple of big jobs, and I'm thinking mid-June we'll start this whole process, which is good because I need to save up some money because white oak is expensive. You're talking like $8 a board foot for regular and $18 for rift, and I want to do rift, and I'm probably not going to do rift. So anyways, guys, this is going to get that done for us. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. Let me know where's the best place to get dominoes, all that good stuff, and I will see you on the next one.